Phone 7 users. So I've switched over here, and I'm going to move on to another hub, which Steve talked about, the Office Hub. I see I lost my projection there, so I'm going to unplug and replug again. See if it comes back. There we go. Now, I'm going to open up the Office Hub, and I want to show you the real code example of how the Office Hub now goes beyond what we do in Windows Phone 7, where we give people access to their OneNote notes and their Word, Excel, and PowerPoint documents. We let corporate customers connect to SharePoint, but now we're going to let consumers and small business users get to their documents on SkyDrive. Since Office 2010 shipped, there's over 70 million people who are using SkyDrive to do Word, Excel, and PowerPoint with the free Office web companions. And once we make this update available, all those people and more will be able to do those same great tasks on their phone. That's my projection again. We have a long cable here. Let's plug that back in. Okay, so here is the Notes area of the hub. If I pan over, the Documents area of the hub, and right here is Locations, where at the bottom you see SharePoint servers that I might be doing corporate collaboration on, and access to my phone, and here, SkyDrive. I can touch SkyDrive, and because I've already signed in one time with my Windows Live ID, I don't need to do it again. I don't need to install extra apps. There's no fuss, no hassle. I can jump right into my SkyDrive. At the top is my own Documents directory, where I might have been using the free Office web companions on my PC to create and save documents. So when I jump in here, it's super easy for me to open them, edit them, using the Word, Excel, PowerPoint applications on the phone. If I pop back up a level, one of the other really interesting things about SkyDrive is shown by the second item in the list. You see there the item called Project X Files, and in small type, shared by Augusto Valdez. Now, this is a great feature. With SkyDrive, one person can mark particular parts of their cloud storage as public or share with other people. In this case, Augusto might be a person that I'm going to collaborate with on a project. He's shared this folder with me, and it automatically shows up on my phone under my SkyDrive, so I know these files are available for me to do collaboration with him. It's instant and easy, no app download, no extra signing. When I open the folder, I go right here, find all these documents, open them up, comment on them, edit it, all the great support that you get with the built-in Office applications that are part of Windows Phone. So that is a quick real-world example of the Office Hub and our new SkyDrive support. Now I want to transition and talk about IE9. Steve mentioned earlier, announced that we will have support for Internet Explorer 9 on Windows Phone in our update release later this year. And I want to give you a look at that code. But before I show you IE9 running on the phone, I want to give you some information about IE9 on the PC. As Steve mentioned, IE9 has been doing lots of releases on the web for people to download and try out, and they had their release candidate earlier this week. There are two very significant things about IE9 that make it a big step forward for us. One is it has fantastic standard support. It supports HTML5 and lots of HTML5's richness, Canvas, SVG. It has great CSS support. And secondly, it does that standard support in a way that takes great advantage of powerful graphics hardware. So far, you've seen that on the PC, and what you're about to see is that same hardware acceleration taking place on the phone. Now, I want to give you an example of just how significant that graphics hardware acceleration is by showing you a video of IE9 running on the PC with some side-by-side comparisons of other modern web browsers. So let's start the video and take a look at IE9 on the PC. So the first thing you see here is our Fish IE page, where you see the Fish web page being shown in IE versus Firefox. Now, a bunch of these other examples are web pages that use hardware acceleration to really give an incredibly smooth end-user experience. I'm going to get ready with the next demo here while this video plays out. Okay, so that's a quick look at IE9 and how hardware acceleration really takes advantage of the full capabilities of the PC to make web pages look great. And what we've just switched to here is IE9 running on Windows Phone. Now, there's a really important point here, which is that the core browsing engine of IE9 that ships on PCs is the great news for consumers because it means they'll get a great smooth experience like you see on Fish.ie here. It's also great news for developers because it means when website developers create a site, if it works well on the PC, it'll work well on Windows Phone as well. And I want to give you a little bit of a comparative example. This is the Fish.ie page. Same page you saw in the video on the desktop, except modified for a phone screen. Other than that, same idea. This is running 50 fish. And I want to show you how much this hardware acceleration really matters. I'm going to pull this down, and by way of comparison, I've got an iPhone 4 here running the current build of Safari. And the Safari web browser is not taking advantage of hardware acceleration, so you really get a sense for how dramatic the difference is when we use the full power and capability of the device. You saw it on the PC, you've tried it yourself if you've downloaded IE9, and now you can see the difference on the phone. So that is a first real-world example of the performance difference. Now, I'm going to use IE9 here and navigate over to another site and just give you another example of what you saw in the video. One of those sites that was shown in the video, and all those sites you can try yourself if you download IE. All those sites in the video are part of the IE9 test drive site. And one of the ones you saw was IMDb. So this is a mock-up of an HTML5 IMDb site that uses animations and rich user experience. And I want to show you how it looks and feels very smooth, just like what you saw on the desktop. I can touch these movies and navigate around. I can push the play button. And because the hardware acceleration makes this experience so smooth, the user, although they've just visited a website, it's almost indistinguishable from the experience you would get running a client app on the device. Now, similarly, one of the other things that's cool about this, let me move my way around the carousel again here, is that the HTML5 standard supports a wide range of things, but one of the more valuable and important ones it supports is native support for video. Lots of websites today use Flash or other plugins to implement video on websites. And in our case, we don't support many of those sites. But with IE9 and its standards-based support for the video tag, sites like this IMDb site enable native support for video just using HTML. So in this case, I'm going to touch the item for Despicable Me. We're going to go to the web service here, the website, start downloading this video and playing it. You'll see in just a second, if we still have our connectivity, you'll see streaming H.264 video in high definition. And maybe we don't have enough connectivity for you to actually see this, but trust me, we typically would show streaming high definition H.264 video. I'm going to actually go back and try that one more time and see if we get lucky on the second try. Yeah, we're not going to get lucky on the second try. Well, unfortunately, that didn't work. As I said, this is preliminary, not final code. We'll get all these kinks worked out before we ship it and make it available to users. But now what I want to do is switch over and give you one more demo example of the software that's going to be coming in this free update later this year. And that is walk you through a multitasking scenario. As Steve said, later on this year, in 2011, we'll make this update available for all Windows Phone 7 users who will then get added support for multitasking of third-party apps. Today, Windows Phone 7 multitasks our own first-party code, but generally we don't multitask third-party apps because we want to make sure the user has a very predictable long life in their battery. When apps run in the background, if you're not careful about how you architect it, they can often spin and use the CPU and other resources so the battery is drained. What we're going to ship is a multitasking approach that we think does the right balance of protecting the user's battery while letting multitasking happen. So I'm going to start up this demo by running an app. The app that I'm going to run is called Rise of Glory. It's an Xbox Live game that's now available on the marketplace. If you have a Windows Phone, you can try this yourself. It's pretty fun. This is a World War I fighter plane simulation. And once the game launches, I'm going to play the part of the Red Baron flying my triplane over Europe while I'm being attacked by other fighters. So the game is loaded, I'll touch the screen, and here we go. So you can see, let me turn the volume up here, let's see if we can get some audio. There we go. I am flying my plane around. And today, if I were playing this game with Windows Phone 7, if I wanted to make a phone call or send a text, if I navigate away from the game, we essentially put it into a deep hibernation, which takes a few seconds to resume. So I'm going to do the same thing now. Let's assume I wanted to make a phone call. I press the button, I'll navigate around, I'll do my thing, make my phone call, now I want to go back to the game. We have a convenient back button. Today, if I were to do that on Windows Phone 7, for third-party apps, it might take 4 seconds. For a game, sometimes a little longer, maybe even up to as much as 10 seconds. But with multitasking, the user gets an instant return to the game. So here I go. I'm going to push the back button. Back. There's our animation. Boom, we're in the game, and it pauses for me, so I can press the continue button. Very, very fast, effectively instant. So I'm going to do it again. I'll press start. We navigate away. I can go do something else on the phone. I can run other apps, whatever I want. When I push back to come back to that app, voila, I can press continue, and I'm flying my plane again. So that's the first scenario, making it really, really fast and easy. I should not fly there. To come back to apps. Now second, because we have that, it suddenly becomes a lot more interesting for users to have a mechanism to switch between apps they've been running recently. So we're adding a new user interface element later this year, which lets people have a task switching view from their back button. You could press back, back, back to go to apps you've been running, or you can press and hold back, which is what I just did, and we'll present a view of all the applications that you've been running recently. So you can see here, we set this phone up before the demo. I ran email, I ran Fruit Ninja, I ran Groupon on the phone. And I want to give you an example now. When you put these things together, I can switch between games incredibly fast. So I'm going to choose Fruit Ninja. I'm live. I'll unpause the game, and here I am killing fruit. So you see I'll do that? Now let's go back to our Rise of Glory. Press and hold back. Navigate over to Rise of Glory. And now I'm flying my plane. So for those teenagers with really long attention spans who want to try playing 2 games at a time, it will now be possible with fast task switching and our new task switching menu. Okay. I have one more multitasking scenario I want to show you, and then I'm going to wrap up this part of the demo. Another really key thing that people have raised as something they'd like to see on Windows Phone 7 that we don't support today is third-party music applications being able to play music as you navigate around the phone. If you use our built-in music application, it works okay, but for third parties, so far, we don't support that. So what I'm going to do is give you a real example of that. I'm going to scroll down here and launch Slacker. Slacker is a free music service that gives me access to a whole bunch of radio stations. So I've launched the Slacker app. I've launched today's hits to start playing a streaming radio station. There we go. And now I'm playing the song 100 Pianos by July for Kings. Today on Windows Phone 7, with a third-party app, if I navigate away from the app, the music will stop. Not so anymore with this multitasking support. If I press and hold the back button, you'll see again, the Slacker application moves into the task view. I can pan over and pick another app. In this case, I'll choose my email. So now here I am running email, and the music is still playing uninterrupted, just as a user would expect. If I want to go back to the Slacker app because I want to change to a different radio station or something, I can hit the back button to go right back to where I just came from, and now I can navigate around and do something with Slacker. This scenario keeps working in lots of different interactions. If I press the start button, of course, as you would expect, music continues to run. And we've tried to make sure the user experience stays really simple and predictable for people. So if you want to turn the volume down, the system volume controls work. And right there you can see the track and artist is shown. I can skip forward, I can skip back, or, as is appropriate in this demo situation, I can just hit the pause button to stop that music in a way that's very consistent between our built-in experience and third-party apps. So all of these features that I've described will be coming in a free update in 2011 for all Windows Phone 7 users. And before I leave the stage, there's one more thing I want to describe. You heard me talk about how we've worked with the development team, the DevTools team to build third-party app multitasking, how we've worked with the IE team to deliver IE9 with its full hardware acceleration, how we worked with the Office team to put SkyDrive support in, but I haven't, or Steve hasn't, we haven't talked about Xbox and how we're going to evolve our gaming experience in some ways. What you've heard today is just some of the features, not the whole story, just some of the features that we'll have later this year. But there's one more that's pretty cool, and we wanted to give you a sneak peek. As I'm sure all of you know, the Kinect was the hottest selling consumer electronics item this holiday, and a lot of people have said, hey, wouldn't it be cool if you could do an interactive gaming experience between the Kinect and the Windows Phone? Well, the Xbox team and our team have worked on this problem, and we're going to show you a video now of real code it looks like it's a mocked-up prototype, but this is real code. Look closely. That gives a technology preview of Windows Phone working as a companion to Connect to give really a completely different gaming experience than you've seen anywhere. And with that, I'm going to leave the stage. Let me introduce you to the Xbox Live Connect Windows Phone companion. Let's run the video. Take a look. Thanks very much.